General Secretary of Unite. Can I thank Ian and those who run Birmingham Trades Council for inviting me to speak to you in this recorded message on May Day. As a movement, perhaps we've never faced a May Day like this in our entire history, certainly in the last 70 years. The reality we all know is that coming out of COVID, we have over 150,000 deaths, and the vast majority of those will be workers. The vast majority of those will be workers who have been forced into unsafe workplaces during COVID, only to return home to families in multi-generational houses. The inequalities of society were not created by COVID, but they have been exposed by COVID. And during this time, whenever we've had 150,000 deaths, we've seen over 134,000 complaints to the HSE about unsafe workplaces, and not one single prosecution. It's been left to Unite. It's been left to Unite to close those unsafe workplaces, to advise our members of their right to life. Extraordinary to think that someone once had to write down that a worker had the right to go to work and to come home alive. But that's the reality of the situation through COVID. It's the reason why we've ignored court judgments, told our members of their Section 44 and Section 100 rights, said to them that if your place of work is unsafe, leave it. And we've shut places of work, meat factories, bus depots, offices, manufacturers. We've shut those in order to make sure that our members have been safe through COVID. And we've protected the right to picket. The COVID legislations have ignored 135,000 complaints about unsafe workplaces, but they prosecuted 77,000 people for individual breaches of COVID. And the government attempted to prevent our right to picket. We challenged the government in Optar, in South Leeds, and in Seika in Edinburgh and Scotland. Our members told that it was safe to be in a workplace, but unsafe to have a lawful, socially distanced picket outside that workplace. Well, we challenged the governments on both occasions, took them to court, and successfully changed the regulations to uphold the right to picket. But our civil liberties are now under attack. And it's the reason why on this May Day we have to talk to everyone about the dangers of the legislation that is presently before Parliament. We all know of the CHIDS legislation, where covert police surveillance has now been legalised. Police told in advance that they can commit crime in the name of the state. Murder, torture, rape, all justified in the name of the state. And no one should be in any doubt that that legislation is directed to movements such as Black Lives Matter, Extinction Rebellion, and of course the trade union movement. But the Police Crime and Sentencing Bill has perhaps out-trumped it in respect of being the most pernicious piece of legislation I can recall seeing. It attacks the traveller, Romani and Gypsy community, seeking to criminalise their nomadic way of life. It then attacks the rights of protest, saying that if your protest is too noisy, the police can stop it. If you fail to agree a start time and finish time with the police, they can stop it. If you don't know of the restrictions the police have placed, then you're guilty of a criminal offence. And disgracefully, it seeks to protect the statues of racist slave traders. A society now where your rights as civil liberties are less than the rights of a racist statue. It's a disgrace. It's a piece of legislation that Unite will never recognise, even if it becomes an act of Parliament. So we know what's at stake now. For those who have lost their lives through COVID, we must reflect on this May Day. We must reflect, but we must talk for the living. We must build a society now that those who went before us can be proud of. We have to remember the strength of those who in 1938 went off to war and could never have imagined a society with a social state, the NHS, council houses, and the right to send their children to third-tier education. But that's what they fought for whenever they returned from war in 1946. And we need to summon that same strength right here and now on this May Day. We can't go back to gesture politics. We can't have claps on a Thursday night. We have to stand up and speak for the injustices of society and speak for a better tomorrow. We have to recognise the myriad of legislation that has been put before Parliament that attempts to remove our civil liberties. We have to fight to expose fire and rehire. We have to fight for 15% for the NHS. We have to fight to ban zero-hour contracts. We have to fight to end precarious work. We have to expose free ports for being zones of deregulation intended to attack trade unions. We have to stand with Black Lives Matter. We have to stand with protesters in Bristol. And we have to stand with those brave women at the vigil of Clapham. And we have to protect democracy. We have to stand with the people of Liverpool who are seeing their democratic rights undermined in front of their very eyes. There is strength in the trade union movement. Everywhere we are defeating Bar and Rehar, Seika in Scotland, SPS Technology in East Midlands, Go Northwest in Manchester, British Airways. We are defeating Bar and Rehar with collective strength. This is now time for a modern trade union, one that talks of our successes, one that creates our own media, one that gives hope to young people, one that shares our disputes, shares our tactics, and says that there could be a better tomorrow. On this May Day, we owe it to those who have lost their lives to make sure that tomorrow is not like yesterday, and there is power in the union, and we can achieve it.